Sally Osberg, in Getting Beyond Better, you talk about social entrepreneurship. So before you give some examples of it, why don't you explain what it actually is?
Well, actually, entrepreneurs and social entrepreneurs aren't so different. Both see something that's not working as well as it might. They see a system that disadvantages some folks. The difference between social entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs is social entrepreneurs see that that segment of society is marginalized, disadvantaged, doesn't have the power and the means to affect the change on its own. So social entrepreneurs attack problems where there's a disadvantaged segment of the population that lacks the power or the means to bring about the change that would make their lives better.
And I thought one great example in the book is Riders for Health, which focuses on transportation in Africa. Can you talk about that particular project? Because I think it illustrates it quite nicely.
It does. Actually, Andrea Coleman and Barry Coleman, her husband, motorcycle racers. You wouldn't think of motorcycle racers as entrepreneurs or social entrepreneurs. They traveled to Africa and they were dismayed at what they found. Rusted vehicles on the side of the road, a health delivery system that simply wasn't working. They knew what it took to keep a motorcycle in fighting trim, to equip people with transportation that would be 100% reliable. And to deliver health care effectively, you need that reliability. So they went to work, and they're now partnering with ministries in 5 sub-Saharan African countries to build their health delivery transportation system so that it works for community health workers, it works for people.
But this is different from microfinance because they're not looking for even a small return on this, they're looking for change, right?
They're looking for social return. And sometimes social entrepreneurs couple financial return and social return, but social return comes first. Microfinance is also a great example of social entrepreneurship. Muhammad Yunus, who won the Nobel Peace Prize some years ago, entered microfinance because he wanted to empower people who didn't have access to credit, whose only access to funds that they needed for their small businesses was through money lenders. Money lenders were charging extortionary rates, and so microfinance could actually deliver much more competitive rates in bringing credit to those folks.
But how scalable is this and how transferable is this? Can you take Riders for Health from Africa and plop it down in India or another place which has a lot of poverty and needs these type of services?
Actually, that's the whole premise of social entrepreneurship, is scale. We talk in the book about 4 stages. The last stage of a successful social entrepreneur is scaling the solution. So it can work in Africa, it can work in India, it can work in Latin America, it can work anywhere where you need a delivery system that is 100% reliable.
And what about getting these projects funded? Because all this takes money. And we hear a lot about things like Live Aid and Farm Aid, and these are quick hits, and people go to the site and then they leave, and there's nothing wrong with that. They're donating time and money. But it seems like social entrepreneurship, you need someone to go there and stay there.
You do. You need the investment of the stakeholders, the folks who are most disempowered by the existing system. It's they ultimately who will sustain these efforts. So social entrepreneurs work very hard to enroll those citizens in their solutions. Example, in India, an organization called Pratham does an annual survey of educational results, working with thousands of volunteers all over the country who do the sampling that gets the information about what kids are actually learning into the hands of the ministry. Now they're using a volunteer base to get that work done, and they're actually making the government far more accountable for the results of its educational system.
All right, well, thanks a lot for coming here and talking about it. Sally Osberg.
Greg, it was my pleasure. Thank you.
And thank you for watching The Street.